Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tundra Missionary. I am Zach, and I am back with another video. And today we are going to be reviewing Porcupine Tree's ninth studio effort, Fear of a Blank Planet. So I have the booklet version here, and has some cool artwork. I'll show you guys a couple examples here. This also has track listings and other general album information. So, Porcupine Tree, Fear of a Blank Planet. This album is a progressive rock slash metal album, and it is just under 51 minutes in length, with just 6 tracks. So these are some pretty lengthy tracks we're talking about. It was released April 16th, 2007, and of course we have the mastermind Steven Wilson on vocals, guitar, and keyboards. Excuse me if I butcher this last name. We got Richard Barberi on keyboards and synthesizers. We have Colin Edwin on bass and Gavin Harrison on drums. So, Fear of a Blank Planet is a concept album, and basically it describes the many problems that teenagers and youth face in the modern world today as we know it. Examples such as like bipolar disorder, attention deficit disorder, extended screen time with technology, prescription drug overuse, anything within that spectrum. And basically, Wilson designs this like main character in the album. That's this boy, and this is his quote about it. This kind of terminally bored kid, anywhere between 10 and 15 years old, who spends all his daylight hours in his bedroom with the curtains closed, playing on his PlayStation, listening to his iPod, texting his friends on his cell phone, looking at hardcore pornography on the internet, downloading music, films, news, violence. So that's basically like the general gist of this album and the lyrical content, which is a pretty interesting concept in my opinion. So the song transition on this album is superb in my opinion. Um, you could I almost kind of look at it as almost a 50-minute cohesive song, all 6 songs forming into one, because the way that they flawlessly transition just really makes it feel like one epic song, and they really do that well on this album. So let's kind of delve deeper into this album and do a little track by track review here. So the album kicks off with the title track, which is about 7.5 minutes long, and to put it simply, it is a fantastic opener. One of my favorite Porcupine Tree songs. Fear of a Blank Planet is a very dark and heavy song, and that's definitely saying something for Porcupine Tree because, as a side note, which I find interesting about Porcupine Tree, is they got heavier during the latter half of their career before they disbanded in 2009. And you don't see that that often with bands. Most bands that I know of, at least, start off really heavy in the early parts of their career, and as time goes on, they start to change their sound into a more slower, chiller kind of sound. And some examples of this from popular bands would be like Linkin Park, where they started kind of heavy in their early days, a new metal kind of sound. And then as time went on, they got softer and slower into a more poppy electronic kind of sound. And then you also got bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, who started off with that funky, rappy kind of stuff in the beginning, and then as they got into the 90s and 2000s, they started going the more alternative rock kind of route. So you see this a lot with bands, but with Porcupine Tree, they were a little different. They started off with like the psychedelic space rock kind of vibe, and then they kind of transitioned to more progressive rock and progressive metal, heavier sounding albums, especially in the 2000s. So I find that pretty interesting. But yeah, Fear of a Blank Planet is a fantastic track, amazing opener. The chorus is amazing, and the verse is fast and catchy, and I find myself singing along to this song all the time whenever I'm driving around in my car. So we transition to the second track here, My Ashes, which is a nice breather track from the heavy opener. Um, it's got a very serene kind of sound to it, and just a very beautiful track. And then we reach the third track, which is probably the highlight of this album to most, which is Anesthetize. And this is clocking in at just under 18 minutes, like a 17.5 minute track. So it's definitely a behemoth of a song. And it is divided into three parts. And the three parts are Anesthetize, The Pills I'm Taking, and Surfer. And the first part of the song is a very slow build up. Um, you have a very what's the best way to describe this? Like a very dark, uh, creepy kind of chorus, almost like hopeless kind of sounding. And in this track, there's also a Alex Lifeson guitar solo. So Alex Lifeson, the guitarist from Rush, does a solo in this first part of the song, which is pretty cool. And then eventually we reach the middle portion of the track, which is very heavy, very dark, and I love how immersive this song is, especially in like the guitar solo stuff. It's not just the vocal parts; it's also the instrumentation itself. It really immerses you into this, the atmosphere of the lyrics and the concept, and it really works well. And then the final track, Surfer, is kind of like a dreamy ambient sort of closer with very beautiful vocal harmonizations. So this track is epic and very well done. You can tell it was very thought out. And then you reach the fourth track, Sentimental, 5.5 minute track. And similar to My Ashes, it is another breather track, especially after the behemoth of the song that we just heard. And very, very beautiful. Love the piano on this song, so a good track. And then we reach the fifth song, Way Out of Here, which is one of the highlights in my opinion. Fantastic track, a super catchy chorus, uh, just a gnarly guitar solo in the middle section, and love this track. It's a great song. And then we reach the closer of the album, Sleep Together, excuse me. And if I had to pick a song that was my least favorite, it would probably be this one. But you know, take that as a grain of salt because this is still a fantastic song. Because like I'm comparing this one to the five other amazing tracks on this album. This one is also 7.5 minutes long. Like I said, there's a lot of lengthy songs on this album. And this one is probably the darkest song on the album. Very dark sounding, very heavy, and just a very uneasy closer. Like it doesn't like it's not like a comforting closer. Like oh, it's all a happy ending and it's over. It's very dark, and it leaves the listener in question at the end of the album in a good way, if that makes sense. Um, you'd have to listen to it in order to maybe understand what I'm trying to speak out here. But anyways, enough rambling. So overall, Fear of a Blank Planet is a fantastic record, and if you like progressive rock or progressive metal, definitely give it a listen. It's definitely one of the best progressive rock albums of the 2000s for sure. So there you have it, guys. Fear of a Blank Planet by Porcupine Tree. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments if you so desire. And yeah, that's about it. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.